The Trump administration is defending itself from all sorts of attacks. There is a new book from Bob Woodward coming out criticizing the Trump White House. Plus, the administration is still fuming over an op-ed published in the New York Times last week, apparently written by someone from his own team. Here to talk about this is Travis County GOP Chairman Matt Mackowiak and Ed Espinoza from Progress, Texas. Thank you both for being here.
Sure, good to be here.
So more than 30 senior officials and cabinet members have denied writing that op-ed. Matt, what do you think the author's motivation was?
Well, you know, I'm reminded of the old line of not judging another person's motives. I think Joe Biden likes to use that phrase a lot. I think it's a good phrase to use. That said, you know, it looks to me like obviously this person, if they exist, whoever they are, whatever level of government they're in, has some concerns about maybe some extreme things from their perspective that they think the administration's considering from time to time. I would have liked to have seen this person just come out and you know, resign and explain why they're resigning, and they could do that publicly rather than do it privately. Now you have cabinet secretaries having to issue statements proving you know, trying to disprove a negative, and I think that's pretty unfair, actually. But look, I think actually this is also an orchestrated effort from the media, from journalists, from the left, from the Democratic Party, to really try to drive the president crazy. I really think that's a strategic objective they're trying to move forward, and I think you're seeing that with the Woodward book, with this op-ed, with the talk about the 25th Amendment, which is ridiculous. It just goes on and on.
Ed, what is your response to that?
Well, look, I agree with Matt in part here in that I really don't understand the person's motivation for doing this. I think that if somebody has these grave concerns, that they maybe have a duty or an obligation to publicize them. I think the wrong question is being asked of these 30 people who have denied writing it. I think the question that may have been better asked of these 30 people is, do you agree with it? And that may have been the more intriguing story here. But look, I don't know why this person did it. Obviously, I agree with a lot of the concerns that that person has. The best I can think of is that the author may think that there is more to the story, things that we don't quite know about yet, and they're better served by staying in the administration. But I think by writing the op-ed, even anonymously, that they've potentially exposed themselves from the good they're purportedly trying to do. We'll see how it plays out.
President Trump says he is considering legal action against the New York Times. Matt, what kind of case would he have, or does he even have a case?
Not a lawyer, so not really qualified to answer that. That said, I've watched enough episodes of Law & Order to believe there's probably not a strong legal case. The First Amendment is pretty solid in America. You know, I think I do have a question as to whether a journalistic enterprise should publish an anonymous op-ed. I think that's a very reasonable question to ask, because look, at the bottom of every op-ed, as Ed knows, and certainly as I know, having written as much as I have over the years, you have the biography of the person who's writing it, and it's in there for the reader so they can judge the credibility, the experience of that person. In this case, you don't have that. You have this ridiculous phrase, senior administration official. No one knows what that means. It's not clear who this person is. I hope it does leak out over time, and I hope the person that writes it has to answer questions.
Ed, do you think the New York Times could have handled this better, or at least done this in a different way, perhaps interviewed the person who wrote the op-ed? Is there a better way to have framed this?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course there's better ways to do it. But remember, if you go back to the Watergate era with the person who went by the so-called name Deep Throat, that person also did things anonymously at the beginning because they felt that there was some grave danger taking place. So is there a different way to have done this? In this particular media environment, yes. There are hundreds of different ways that you can do that these days. But again, I don't think, I don't know that this is the route that I would have chosen. I think it has become very intriguing as to see what it means. And then the other thing here, you asked whether or not it's legal. The president said he might want to take legal action. I also am not a lawyer, but I don't think that he is protected by that. I think public officials have, there's certain rulings, I believe it's called the Sullivan case,
yep,
that doesn't allow them to have those same protections that Matt and I or others might have.
Private citizens, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we are out of time, gentlemen, but Ed, Matt, thank you both for sharing your perspectives with us tonight.
Thanks.